Hey everyone, my name is Danilo Petrovic.
I'm Ilya Marchenko.
I'm Denis Kudla.
I'm Evgeny Donskoy.
I'm Henry Laaksonen.
I'm Peter Torebko, and you're listening to the Game to Love podcast.
Hey, welcome back, tennis fans. This is a podcast about a special youngster from America. We were speaking about him 2 years ago when he was just sort of fresh on the scene in the sort of challenger circuit. Brandon Nakashima, I was singing his praises then, and so are you. And now it looks like all of that hard work is finally paying off, and he has been in 2 ATP finals this year, and he's going well already in Washington in the City Open, mate. Fantastic news, isn't it?
Yeah, I feel like he came about, or when we was talking about him, was like the Alcaraz-Musetti era, if it is an era. Not really. But we used to always big him up so much. And Nakashima was like the third part who we kind of ignored a little bit more than the other two. Probably because it took him a little bit a bit longer to sort of burst onto the scene and play well in main draws. And really, he's not done great on main draws when he first started. Obviously, I think it all started off in the US Open where he beat Paolo Lorenzi in a match there. But then since then, it's not been great. There's been a lot of losses in there. I think he dropped back down to the challengers to play. Yes. But his fortunes have turned around. And right now, you've got to be honest, Brandon Nakashima is a very tricky customer to beat on the hard courts, especially in America. He just seems so comfortable. Obviously, he come from the sort of college scene in America. He's 20 years old, born in San Diego, 6'1", and he turned pro in 2019, as I said. And he's just an awesome tennis player, if I'm honest, and getting better and better, where you look at him now, and as opposed to just a real talent, he's now an actual threat, I would say. And I know we're talking about the City Open now. There's no reason he can't go and win the whole thing because he's reached a few. Well, I've got here. This is his recent form. So he was 134 2 weeks ago. He's now cracked the top 100. And the wins are just stacking up in North America. So Los Cabos, he beat JJ Wharf. He beat Sam Querrey, Thompson, John Isner. Just look at them for some Americans to beat. Well, I know Thompson's Australian, but the other Americans, they're tough, good hardcore players as well. And then Atlanta, he beat Bride, Raonic, Thompson again. Thompson's probably dreading the sight of him. And Bruce Savory.
Yeah, it's incredible, really, to think of that, especially when you look at John Isner, a massive favourite whenever he steps onto American hard courts, to be able to beat John Isner. Obviously, he wasn't in America then, but when he did face him in America, he actually lost, and that was in the final. It was very close, though. I think it was a tie break and a 7-5, something like that. So he's there. He's at that level now where he can take on big players like John Isner and other players like on this hard court. Like Jordan Thompson's no schmuck on the hard courts. No. Really good player, great, solid moustache. And he took him out in easy fashion. The most impressive, I think, is sort of been coming up now, though. It seems he's getting better and better. And you've seen how he demolished Dan Evans in his last match, which ended with a bagel in the second set. I don't know. I didn't expect him. I said I thought Nakashima would have the slight edge and it might go to 3. What do I know, eh? So Nakashima absolutely blew him out the water.
No, I actually expected it because I know I've said on the last podcast, Evans' record against Americans playing in America, he doesn't do very well. Just add another one to the list. And I thought he would have lost quite comfortably like he did in the end. We just skimmed past Raonic. Raonic come back and he beat him as well. Poprin as well. I don't know. The sky's the limit for him. He was, 130 before the week, and now he's 89th, I believe, but rising fast. I don't know if you look at the live ranking, because you can see he's now up to 86. And if by some miracle he is to go and win in Washington, win the City Open, he would then gather and accumulate 1,348 points, which could potentially plummet him into the top 50.
Wow.
Which is just ridiculous to be up there with the likes of Lloyd Harris. it's a massive ask, of course. I'm not sure if
Yeah.
he's going to be able to win the whole thing. Potentially, we could see a Nadal Nakashima semi-final, I believe. Not sure if he's got to get through Cam Norrie first, though. I think that could be a matchup before that one. And obviously, then he's played Norrie in the final of Los Cabos and lost. And Norrie's just he's having a season of his life right now.
Yeah, in the tournament that they're playing in at the moment, you've got at the top of the draw, you've got Nadal versus Lloyd Harris, and then you've got they'll be playing the winner of Cam Norrie Nishikori. So we could be seeing Norrie Nadal again potentially.
Oh, okay. So they won't be matching up.
But then, that would be in the quarterfinals, and it could be a potential semi-final. You are right. So it's Nakashima Kudla next, and he will play the winner of McDonald Ivashka. And I think they're all winnable matches there for Nakashima.
Well, based on who he's beaten, you'd expect maybe we'll see a Nadal Nakashima semi.
Yeah. And wouldn't that be exciting? I like the fact we've all ruled out Nishikori completely out of this little section. I believe hard courts are his wheelhouse, but I think Nishikori still has a chance in there as well. But down the bottom, we obviously got Sinner and Korda. And this is just down the other half, though. And then we got Felix Brooksby. That's a very exciting one as well. Now, Brooksby, another young American we've already spoken about at length. But this is Nakashima's time to get a little bit of the limelight, and rightly so, I think. It's a very exciting time for American tennis. They haven't had the best of it in recent years. And now they're starting to see, I don't know, this is probably years of like a hard work on like their youth program, stuff like that, finally coming through. And you're starting to see a few flourishing potential superstars, I think, in these two players as well, Brooksby and Nakashima.
I think we've timed this podcast perfectly because I think literally about for the last few weeks, this is Nakashima's moment right now. Forget all the other stuff. He looked great on the Challenger Tour. I know we looked at the stats of him there. He was amazing and was one of the players to watch out for. But now this is him on the main stage on the ATP Tour, and he's just looking brilliant. And I expect him to push on. I don't think he wins this tournament, but getting ready for the US Open on the hard courts in America, that is his favoured surface. I think that is going to be his best ever slam he's going to have in his career. Could he have some special moment? We saw happen with Coco Gauff at Wimbledon, like a breakthrough. I think he needs like something big just to cement himself here. Whether that is a big run at the US Open, obviously not winning it, but potentially like a quarter-final or something. I think that is the next step now. And I'm actually tipping him to go very far this US Open. If he gets a nice draw, of course, he could draw like, say, Djokovic's first round. Then I'm not so sure. But if he gets a nice draw, he could go very far.
Yeah, obviously, he did very well in the US Open last year. It was his first main draw for a Grand Slam. He managed to defeat Paolo Lorenzi. He was a solid player on tour as well. Bit long in the tooth, some might say, but he beat him in straight sets. And he took a set from Alex Zverev. Remember that? Yeah. So, and we know how good Zverev is on the hard court. He was the eventual finalist, obviously. So that was high praise to be able to take a set from Sasha Zverev, but he's not used to 5-set matches. You've got to remember that with someone like Nakashima. He's going to have to take a little bit of time, like we've seen with Alcaraz as well. You're not going to probably do that well at your first few slams just because it's a different format and you're not used to going, like we saw with Musetti as well against Djokovic. If it was a 3-set match, he would have won.
It's not even just the format, though. It's the fact that he's not played against the big players.
Yeah.
And he's one of the players who you can get either or. I feel like you get players who are very good in their juniors. They come onto the main draw and then they're brilliant. Or you get players who just aren't very good and they're like sort of late bloomers. He was more of the former. Like he was a brilliant player in the juniors. He got to number 3 in 2018, at the end of 2018. He won 2 ITF titles. He's won 2 Challenger titles. And in 2018, October, he actually won the ITF Junior Masters. So that is like the equivalent of sort of an ATP Finals, I believe. So the next best to the Junior Grand Slams. I think you've got some of the stats there, mate. Maybe you can bring them up.
Yes, it is very, very interesting to see how well he's progressing as well. Like you said, Junior Masters, this is the staple for all young players moving forward. Obviously, we've got the next gen players when they play in the next gen tournament, when they just about or just under 21, I believe, isn't it, for the next gen?
Yep.
This one is around the 18-year-old level. So this is judging who's going to be making those strides in the next couple of years. And it seems to have proved right as well, because he's won it. And now, a couple of years later, we're starting to see the fruits of his labor. And I think we're going to see him in one of these next gen tournaments coming up very soon. And I wouldn't put it past him winning that as well, I think. So,
well, because there is some exciting players in that sort of age range. I know you've got another one there.
Yeah. Sorry, say again.
There's some exciting players in that age range, isn't there? So
yes,
on the live rankings, you've got
there we
some.
go. There we go. Yes. So
and you can see Felix leading the way. This is what 21 years and younger.
Yes.
So correct. Felix is the highest ranked with a ranking of what's that? 15? Yeah, 15 in the world. Is that right? 15?
Felix? Yeah, I believe so. I can go back to the live one. Yep, 15. That's
mad.
Correct.
God, Felix so high, and he's been so unfortunate not to win a title. You look at some of the people below him who have won titles: Sinner, Alcaraz. He's going to feel a bit hard done by that. He's not, considering he's got to so many finals. You got Sinner there, obviously, and Alcaraz, Musetti, and then Nakashima. He's like the third part, I feel, of that trio. One we've sort of ignored, and then Jenson Brooksby sort of made his run this year. Was more of an unknown entity before this year. I must admit, I didn't know much about him, but from what I've seen of him, just amazing.
I think Brooksby, he's sort of jumped onto the scene with that US Open performance, I believe. I can't remember who it was that he beat. It was someone fairly big, wasn't it? In the early round of the slam of the Grand Slam. Can't remember off the top of my head.
Brooksby. No, he lost to Korda, didn't he, at Wimbledon? No, he lost to not Korda, Kratsev.
It was about 2 years ago. I'm talking about Brooks.
Oh,
okay. It was a couple of years ago. He sort of came on the scene, then he disappeared again for a bit.
Oh, right, yeah.
So he sort of came on, won a big match at a slam, and then disappeared. I can't remember who it was he beat. Let us know in the live chat if you know that one off the top of your head. But it was a very notable win when he won it. But I can't for the life of me to remember who it was. I don't know why. Come on, let's try and have a think. Who was it? Or have a quick
what was it in 2018?
I think it was 2018 or 2019.
Oh, it was 2019.
It was it was a big win.
Oh, mate, I don't have it here either.
That's all right. I'll pull it up. Don't worry, mate. I'm on it. Here we go. It was. Oh, there you go. Thomas Berdych. He beat him in. That's why, because he's not been playing on the tour so much. He beat him in 4 sets. So that when he jumped onto the scene, I think Nakashima. Well, I think Brooksby, that probably pushed him a little bit too much too soon, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And now I think that Nakashima, maybe his trajectory is going in the right way, where you're just sort of gradually getting there. And he's got to a couple of finals now, hasn't won them, but he's still getting there. We don't want to see another Felix style thing going on.
Yeah,
I don't think that we will with him. I think he's got his head screwed on his shoulders. And when we spoke to Karatsev, he sort of alluded to how solid of a player Nakashima is, because he was actually the one who beat him in the qualifying for the Australian Open, where he went all the way to the semi-finals, and he got taken to 3 by Nakashima. So one of his toughest matches in the Australian Open, really, for Karatsev. So mate.
I honestly think though Nakashima and Brooksby are a bit interchangeable in terms of they're both young Americans coming through, and there's not much separating them. They're both 20 years old. Probably Brooksby was just slightly better when they was younger, considering that they played each other in August 2018, and Brooksby defeated Nakashima to win the USTA Boys Under-18 National Championship, and that allowed Brooksby to get a wild card into the US Open. So that could have been Nakashima in the 2018 US Open if he was to win that match.
Yeah, I see midfield Maestro saying there Brooksby actually picked up an injury after that US Open, so that's probably why we didn't get to see him for some time after that. But at least he's fully recovered and he's coming back to the top of the sport again. Great to see 2 20-year-olds there making their way up through the rankings. Obviously, Brooksby just on the cusp of the top 100 now, which is very promising, and Nakashima's already broken it. Yeah. And he's bearing down on the top 50, as you said earlier, which that's super exciting, because I think he's going to have those next two, like you see there on the screen, in his like sights. They're sort of the benchmark, I think. Alcaraz, Musetti, they're the younger players. They're above you in the rankings. You need to try and make up the gap there and try and overtake. I think it's a good target as well.
Yeah,
54 in the world, Alcaraz. I think he'll be aiming to try and overtake him.
I think it's competitive between them lot there.
That's great.
I think the future of tennis is very bright, and the most exciting thing we've not actually spoke about is a big reason why we started this podcast was about some of the challenger players.
Yeah.
We obviously watch a lot of challengers, and there's a few of them making their debut into the main draw this year.
Yep.
I know you got the list there.
Bear with me. There you
So
go.
there we go. Bonzi, Nakashima, they've made their list of the top 100 debuts. And you've got, who else in there? Rinderneck, Musetti, Karatsev, Korda. Really, all of them guys are people we have a lot of connection with in terms of we was watching them play very well in the Challengers. And now they've managed to crack the top 100. And I honestly think a lot of these players here are a lot better than a lot of the existing ones. And we're going to see maybe a changing of the guard of some of the older players, 30 plus, say, who are more journeymen, who are going to drop off points. And I don't see them retaining many points either. I think the new kids on the block are going to be replacing them. And if I'm honest, they're not going to get back into the top 100. I think these guys are there to stay now.
Yeah, I think so as well. I'm super impressed, especially we haven't spoken about Rinderneck as much, but he's definitely one we will need to probably do another pod on at some point, because another super impressive, exciting young French player. I think that the sky's the limit for him as well. He's been pulling off some amazing results, but sort of flying under the radar a little bit more. I think that
he's not done much on the main draw. That's why.
Okay, so I think that his time,
and he's a lot older as well. He's 26.
Okay, but I still think his time. Players like bloom at different times in their career, and he seems to be just going through his best part of his career right now. I think that maybe give him another year or two, we could see his best tennis. So exciting. This is the next sort of the new gen. We can't keep calling everyone the next gen all the time, can we?
Yeah, this is like the new era of tennis for sure. And I've got a question for you now, and it's on American tennis. As we've got the American flags behind us, we've got three key Americans there: Korda, Nakashima. I think Korda was 22. He's a little bit older than the other two.
Yes.
So you got Brooksby, Nakashima, and Korda. And I want you to rank them three in where you think what they're going to be able to achieve in, say, 5 years' time.
That's a very interesting question. Yeah, well, obviously Seb Korda. Dad is a Grand Slam champion. He's from high stock, and I expect him to get one. So you say 5 years?
Yeah, let's say 5 years. So Korda will be 27, and the Nakashima and Brooks will be about 25. So they're sort of finding, I wouldn't say their peak. I think especially Grand Slams, the peak's a little bit later. But they're on the actual circuit, they found their maturity and they're playing well. Let us know in the chat, guys. Where would you rank them three as well?
Out of those three, who does the best out of Brooksby, Nakashima, Korda? There's part of me that thinks that Nakashima is going to be the standout one. I know that I'm probably a bit biased. I've always been sort of jumping on his back. There's part of me that thinks that he will be the standout. I think that you'll see Korda probably going more consistently deep in tournaments, I'd say, but not achieving as much. And Brooksby, I reckon he's going to have the odd crazy tournament where he just does really well. I think he's a solid player, though. I just would go probably Nakashima, Korda. I don't know, but it's unfair on Brooksby because Brooksby has so. Maybe I'd even put Korda bottom. Maybe
it's a horrible question because I can't actually answer it. I gave you a question I can't really answer. So I'll go to the chat, and Almina's going Korda, Nakashima, then Brooksby. Kathy agrees as well. It is very difficult, and I think maybe we are a little bit biased because out of the three of them, Brooksby I've seen the least of. But based on his results, you can't really dismiss him. And before his injury, he was beating the likes of Nakashima in the juniors. And we've seen what he's been doing now since he's had a run of form, actually been able to play. He just beat TFO the other day.
Exactly. You got to remember, Korda's only 21. He is just 21, isn't he?
I wasn't sure if it's 21 or 22.
Yeah, I can't remember off the top. But
I'll
they're very close in age, though, aren't they? These if he's slightly older,
he's 21. Yeah, you're right. So it would
Okay.
be in 5 years. He'll be 26.
So I mean, it's so close, and the fact that he is the ranking that he is at the moment at 21 is credit to him. Like 45th in the world at the moment, quarter. You would have to say it favors him, but I like the trajectory at the moment of Nakashima, and I think if it keeps going like that, and he keeps on, but Korda's been getting to finals as well. So the only person who hasn't yet really is Brooksby, isn't it? But I think he'll be there. Give him another, give him another 6 months or a year. I think he could be as well in some 250s. I wouldn't say higher than that though.
Okay, interesting. But anyway, I think we'll wrap up there. We've done a good little summary there of our man Brandon Nakashima. I feel like it's a bit unfair of some of the other players, Ryan Deneck, Brooksby, some of them that we've not given them their own podcast. But Nakashima right now certainly does deserve it because he's been in such good form. And I don't know if you've got the flash scores up. We can just see all the sort of the run of green. He's rarely lost, if I'm honest. He doesn't lose many matches. And the ones he has lost, you'd kind of give him the benefit of the fact that they are really top players. Yeah,
I'm interested to see how he gets on. Obviously, he's playing Dennis Kudla. That's his next matchup. Obviously,
have a look at the odds against Dennis Kudla. It's actually ridiculous. He's like at 1.3. They've got him at.
It's madness, isn't it? 1.3 against Dennis Kudla, and Dennis Kudla. Look who he beat in the last round. Dennis Kudla knocked out Taylor Fritz in straight sets. So,
and then he beat Feliciano Lopez as well in the round the day before.
So this is how much everybody... But I think the bookies do this too often. A young kid coming through, gets to a couple of finals. Now they're just all over it. He'll never have long odds ever again by the looks of it. This is the problem. They did the same with Alcaraz, same with Musetti. Now it looks like Nakashima's the next one. Good luck.
And Nakashima has won his last 12 out of the last 15 matches he's played. He's won 12 of them and lost 3. And the 3 he lost were to Isner at Atlanta, and he obviously went on to win the tournament. He then lost to Norrie in the final of Los Cabos. He won the tournament. And then Taylor Fritz at Wimbledon, which you can kind of understand.
Yeah, I mean, you let him off for that.
And he took a set off Fritz at Wimbledon as well. And the grass is not his surface.
Yeah, I think he's still adjusting on the Grand Slam stage, to be honest. I think I'd only really be judging him on his hard court slams at the moment. And the others, they're just nice for him just to be in the draw, I think, and get some experience. Yeah, I think we're going to wrap it up there, though. If you haven't already, guys, please hit the like button on this video. Subscribe if you are new. And we'll see you guys very soon for another podcast. I don't think we're going to be bringing you Rafael Nadal tonight. We're going to have the night off. But maybe we'll do it Friday or the weekend if he can advance, of course. It's not a certainty. We saw with Jack Sock, he found it very... but hopefully Rafa can get all the way. Yeah, indeed. See you guys soon. See ya.